recording?
Yeah, recording's actually been happening for a while, which means when you put it out, you're going to need to edit the beginning. Unless I stop this. When do I stop? Yeah,
We're already on YouTube, I think.
Yeah, which means when you put it out, you're going to need to edit the beginning. Okay. Welcome everybody. Welcome to Stay Sane, the podcast. Staying sane. We are busy staying sane right now. This is a podcast devoted to staying sane in this crazy world. And today we're talking about a really important issue. I don't know if Cassandra, you want to start, or you want me to sort of lay it out. We're talking about how your phone is hypnotizing you. And it might be doing that right now, actually, while you're watching this. So where are you on this, Cassandra? You yourself have a phone. You've been hypnotized by it.
Thank you, Albert. Yes, and welcome whomever is joining us for this interesting episode of the Staying Sane podcast, how to stay sane in a crazy world. How can we move towards greater levels of sanity if we're constantly, almost perpetually, in a low-grade unconscious trance by the very nature of having a cell phone in our hands or on our hip at all hours of the day and night?
I have an angle, a very clear angle. In hypnosis, one of the big ethical questions are, if you get nervous about I said it is, not are, big questions is, do you have consent to hypnotize somebody? And are you consenting to being hypnotized? And what's weird about what is going on right now with the internet, sorry, I know I'm not supposed to say internet, but with social media is we are getting hypnotized by our phones, by Instagram, by Facebook, by TikTok, but we're not consenting. We didn't say, okay, I'm okay with going into an Instagram trance, but Instagram is putting you into trance. And we did not consent to go into a Facebook trance, yet Facebook is putting you into a trance. How do you know this? Because it's worth knowing some very classic and traditional indicators of trance. So indicators of trance are how hypnotists figure out if people are going into trance or not. And one of the classic indicators of trance is time distortion, which is really interesting. So when somebody goes into a hypnotic trance, they will sometimes report later that they're like, oh, that felt like 5 minutes when it was 30 minutes. And that's a classic indicator of trance, time distortion. Well, this is something that people report on Instagram all the time, where they go, oh, I was just scrolling on Instagram and next thing I knew it was 11:30. A bunch of time disappeared. That is not just some weird aliens stealing your time. It is hypnotic time distortion where you really don't notice. So that's one of the examples. Where do you experience it? Or does that sound fair to you?
Time distortion? Absolutely. What I find, just a couple of nights ago, I had a client session, and afterwards it was 2.5 hours. He's a friend. I had the time, and I like to give people extra if we're doing the deep work. So I gave him a full 2.5 hours. And when he came out and we were sharing, I said, how long do you think that was for you? And he said, I couldn't even guess. And that's how I feel when I'm on Instagram, when it's like, how long do you think you've been doing this? And I'm like, I don't even have a guess. I could say like maybe like 5 minutes, but I know that that's wrong when I say that. It's the sense of total confusion and disorientation relative to time. It's more extreme than just like, oh, it felt like 5 minutes, but it was really an hour. It's like, I'm like lost beyond the concept of time. That's how disconnected I am from presence and engagement and groundedness. That's how extreme this hypnotic effect of social media is. You're fully like, you're not in reality anymore.
I should point out
where you go is like, what's even the point of going there? Really?
You were just looking at your phone. That's all. You were just looking at your phone, and then you have this experience. Yeah. So what we're saying is like, well, I can take it through various indicators of trance. The second one is a really
Let's do it.
interesting one, which is eye fixation. So when people go into hypnotic trance, their eyes fixate, meaning they are looking exactly in one spot. Now, this happens when people both look at their phones and look at screens. And how do we know that this is happening? Because there is an epidemic of dry eye syndrome right now, which is people's eyes are drying out from looking at their phones and screens. But it's interesting. Why are their eyes drying out? It's actually really intriguing. It's because they're engaging in hypnotic behavior, meaning you are watching something that is essentially putting you into trance. You're staring at it, and your eyes are opening a little bit wider, and your blink rate decreases, which is also something that happens in trance. So as your blink rate decreases, you put less water into your eyes, and your eyes start to dry. This is all happening unconsciously. Nobody does this on purpose, but it is making your vision blearier, and it's a really an epidemic right now. So, but what's weird about it is also trance.
Good. Eye fixation. Next point, next element.
So when you watch Instagram in particular, people have noticed that the way you watch Instagram, and I guess maybe Tinder as well, is this sort of flicking effect where you flick up, well, look at that, flick, picture, flick. And that, look at it, it is actually hypnotic. I notice that you are going into trance. So even just me imitating the flicking behavior of Instagram is trance inducing. That's because nodding is hypnotic, and also things moving past the eyes in a predictable way is also hypnotic. So
And on the topic of body language, when we're on our phones, we have this head down.
yeah,
this is like, I'm going to sleep now. Our ancestors who never looked at their hands were here for millions of years, here, looking out at the horizon, scanning the environment, knowing what's going on all around, being present and grounded. When we've become here, this is a trance body language. I'm clearly not awake. My eyes aren't, a predator approaching would think easy prey. She's asleep.
Yeah. Not only that, it's actually, I take it even a step further. So let me demonstrate. So here's me and well, you probably can't see my phone. My phone is here. Actually, it's interesting. The effect gets rid of my phone. Is it there? There it is.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Got it.
So if I had my phone here, and if I'm looking at it like this, and actually the way people look at it is like this, you take away the phone, not only do you have this kind of like trancy behavior, this is actually the look of a depressed person.
That's right.
Depressed people walk around like this. So even though you're just checking your phone, you're engaging in depressive behavior, which is another way that your phone is hypnotizing you.
Your physiology is being put into a state that sends the information to your mind that says, I'm not doing so well. You're caved in around your lungs, so you can't really breathe fully and clearly and powerfully. You're all like this, all your organs are kind of being squished together, and this is like being a turtle going into its shell, like, I need protection, I don't feel safe. All of that is baked into the body language, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. Your unconscious, from millions of years of evolution, knows how to read its own body language and I know about what's happening in my environment and who I am and what's reality based on the information my body is giving my nervous system and mind. And my body is saying, I'm
small.
I'm like this. I'm small.
Yes.
I'm small.
And you know what is crazy about that is that you might say, look, all I'm doing is checking my Instagram. I'm not deliberately engaging in super aggressive behavior, but I'm willing depressive behavior, but I'm willing to bet that slouching effect is also becoming more permanent. That means if you spend 3 hours a day slouching over your phone, you're going to have phone slouch. You're going to have phone back. These are things
phone back.
Yeah, you can go to your,
Phone back. It's worse than tennis elbow.
yeah, phone back. So you got to watch out. Now, I've got another angle which people that may not know about. I did a documentary about boredom called Boredom, about the science of boredom. And what was intriguing about it was what's called the novelty scam. There's a lot of research that shows that one of the reasons why phones hypnotize and entice you is that they behave like flashing lights in the distance. So they twinkle. So the color of a phone, which is a very white light, is similar to daylight or dawn. And then it is what you don't see because phones are set to there's a repeat. It goes at I should know the science, but it's essentially it's strobing, but you can't see the strobe. But part of your brain probably does. So
It's
there's a
subperceptual.
right. What white light twinkles in the distance? So when you move through nature and you were to see a white light twinkling in the distance, what would that be in nature?
It would either be stars in the sky,
Yep.
or it would be a water source.
Right. Well, that's it. Bingo. Water source is the important one because we have a deep need for finding water sources. And we're very excited when we see them, especially in the distance, and we will move towards them. So the reason why phones and screens are so sexy is one, they imitate this sort of white light twinkling effect in the distance, which is similar to water, finding a water source in the distance or a watering hole where there may be other animals. And then two, when you get there, it creates the impression because of the white light. There is a false effect that creates novelty. We think we've discovered a new source of water. We think we've discovered something new and fresh. So when people get on their phones, they think that something very novel is happening, something completely new. And this is called the novelty scam because you may have had this exact experience. Knowing this has taught me that when I get on my phone and I'm been scrolling for maybe half an hour, or I should explain, there's no difference in phone and any other screen. Could be your iPad too. So you're on a screen and you've been scrolling for a while, and it may feel like something is happening, and then because of this, I realize, wait a second, half an hour has gone by. I haven't learned anything new. I haven't gotten any new information. I've just been wasting time. I've just been whatever. And the phone is doing that to me by creating this false novelty effect that something new and exciting is happening on the in social media or on the phone or whatever, when in fact it's the same old crap. Yes.
Okay, good. So let's flag that as I think we're on to point number 4. So it would be how your phone or any screen, really, the screen thing that we have in our life, we're just calling your phone, is hijacking a deeply wired system of responding to specific types of light. So that's been misappropriated in technology. So that's another way that your phone is hypnotizing you. Point number 5. We've mentioned some body language mechanics. We've mentioned the light, but there's. Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, we can break it down into individual social media platforms. So let's say, Instagram, we mentioned Instagram has a particularly trance-like effect because of this. TikTok also has a hypnotic effect because right now, the trends change, but right now it's a lot driven by storytelling. So you get on TikTok and there's somebody going, "Do you know what happened to me?" Or the most outrageous thing just happened in my town, or I saw this experience. So when people tell a story, we tune in. We've evolved, and literally, it's like if you're in a tribe of cave people and somebody ran in from the woods and said, "You know what happened to me?" You would pay attention. And that's what TikTok is essentially hijacking. Now,
well, on that note, TikTok is also about trends. So it's a trend to make a style of video, which way back when the original, like the OG trend that people, it was viral, was the ice bucket challenge. Like all of a sudden, everybody was like, hey, take a video of me while you pour ice all over me. And it was like, what? What is happening? Why does everybody want to do this? Oh, because it's going to help ALS. I never actually understood how that linked. But
Yeah.
supposedly all these people
Yeah.
throwing ice on themselves for videos was going to help ALS. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. But TikTok has that, and that's very tribal. It's like we're all doing the same dance, or we're all doing the same physical gesture or weird thing with our bodies, or it's when we're replicating a behavior and filming ourselves doing it. It's like feeling like I'm in a group, I'm in a tribe, I'm one of them.
Yeah, and we're wired, it's bystander effect. We are wired to do the same thing that other bystanders do. So if the other bystanders are dancing or running away, we will have a strong impulse to do the same thing. And so yeah, all these things, these are the things that drive the algorithms and drive the trends on, particularly on TikTok. And I guess the question to ask is, does it help you to know this? Meaning, does it help you to know that you're being manipulated? And my answer is
I think
yes. Like,
so.
for example,
Yeah.
with this, yeah, go ahead. Sure, go ahead and answer.
But I'm just agreeing with you. I think it's very helpful to have awareness. Awareness is always a breakthrough shift. If you're unaware of a problem and then you're aware of a problem, you are now on your way to having a solution. So being aware of it now is good. Being aware of it in an hour from now, when you just suddenly remember and choose to use this remembering to turn the phone off, that's much better.
That reminds me, I would ask you and anybody watching, by the way, we are live. This is Staying Sane, the podcast. And if you have your own observations about this, we're welcome to post them. We'll see them. But one of the things I've noticed is that I've started shaking my head. This sounds a little bit weird, but I'll be looking at my phone, I'm scrolling on something, and I realize I've been doing this for half an hour for no reason. And then I go, like I shake out of it because I realize I'm in trance. I really am in trance. And the shaking helps me break the trance. Which might be an
Interesting. For me, I find that I break the trance when I'm here, right? Often, okay, I'm admitting it. I'm not a perfect person. I'm just somebody on the path. I often find myself right here in front of my laptop and right here with my phone in my hand simultaneously. And then I put the phone down and I can't, and I gotta look at the phone, and I'm here, and then I'm here, and then I'm here, and I'm here, and I'm here, and then I'm here. This is not a productive person. This is not an efficient person. This is not an effective, competent, well thriving person. Not good. But I find that I can break my trance when first of all, I recognize it after a few exchanges. I'm like, whoa, pick a thing and do it. One thing I like to do is the Pomodoro method, which is just a simple way of saying, set a timer for 25 minutes and be really committed that until this timer goes off, I'm not doing anything else except for this one task. One of the reasons that this method works so well for me, I'm not a big student of the Pomodoro method, but it's just some guy who had the business insight to say, hey, I can build a business around this simple thing called setting a timer for 25 minutes. So
great business idea.
Props to him, right? Like, great.
Yeah.
But it's as simple as set a timer for 25 minutes. And why is it so helpful? Is because, or if it's not 25 minutes for you, what is a number for you that you can be like, all right, if I can't stay focused on one task for this small length of time, I really have a problem. So let me start with this. Maybe it's even 12 minutes. Can you start with 12, work your way up? And you start to reclaim just by like, something external will allow me to check my phone. If I really want to check my phone so bad, I just want to check my phone. I have to wait for the sweet release of the timer. It's not an internally like, I'm going to motivate myself. When I finish this paragraph of my novel, then, because if I'm my own warden, I'm letting myself just run free. I don't police myself well, but having the external timer, that helps. Having a length of minutes that you can reasonably be like, yeah, of course I can do this for at least that. That's one way to break the trance.
The reason why this matters, I should explain, is simply because if we recognize, which we're saying, that there are trance behaviors occurring when people are on their computers or on social media, that explains why time just disappears. And it's literally you losing your life. Like, you're not dying, but suddenly like an hour of your life just disappeared and you can't account for it. You don't really know what you did. And you really notice this is why you should take lots of breaks. If you go outside, especially now, it's actually beautiful weather where I am, but if you go outside, it's like, it's interesting to notice the difference. You're like, wow, it is beautiful. The wind feels good on my face. The sun is shining, all these things that are sort of real experiences. I mean, I don't have to tell people this, I don't think, but the contrast between that and this muddy, distorted, poor quality trance. This is another like key part of this, is that in hypnosis, we're not just interested in putting people in trance, we're also interested in the quality of the trances. And I would say that social media is putting you into trance. Your phone is putting you into trance, but these are low quality trances. You don't have deep focus. You don't have a recuperative state. You're not healing in these trances. You are just in trance. They're low quality trances, which Shanghai your focus. And that's why, first of all, it's worth noting that there's hypnotic phenomena going on, but also it's worth noting that you can get out of these trances and you may want to figure out a better trance. And it's funny that you mentioned the method. What that method is doing is saying, okay, if you want to focus, really focus, really focus. And that's a good use of your time. Now you're probably going to get things done, as opposed to bad trance. I'm going to mention one other thing too. I went to Japan, I don't know, about 10 years ago, but I remember I was there with I was staying with Japanese people, and I had this funny incident happen to me. One day they took me to downtown Tokyo and they wanted me to have a Tokyo experience. And I'm an espresso drinker at the time, so I ordered an espresso. I was in no rush to drink it. And I just started walking down the street with them, drinking my espresso. And my host, who was just like a very smart guy, but he said, "Albert," he goes, "What are you doing?" And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. He says, "You cannot walk down the street and drink your coffee at the same time." And he said, "In Japan, we hate this." He says, "Do one thing, drink your coffee or walk down the street. Don't walk down the street and drink your coffee." And I was totally freaked out by that, and I'd never thought of it before.
I love that story.
Yeah. And he was like, within Japanese culture, they believe it is important. I don't say every person is Japanese, but they believe it's much important to focus on your task and do one thing at a time. Don't try to do 2 or 3 or whatever. And and what we do because of paying attention to our phones is I see this all the time. I did an interview with somebody this week, TV interview, and the interviewer was, set up the camera, was interviewing me, asked me questions, and he was checking his phone. And maybe because I think actually it was being pretty interesting at the time. This was the part that offended me. But I was like, yeah, how come he's checking his phone? He was traveling and had lots of pressure and stress, but still, I was still scandalized.
Yeah, there's so many things I want to respond to. And what you said, I'm recalling a story from my own life where I was visiting my father, who lives in Tennessee, and he lives kind of in the rural area. There's middle of nowhere, nobody's there. But there is some woman who's about my age, who's kind of in his social circles. And she momentarily latched on to me. She was all excited that a cool young woman around her age was there that she could be friends with. And she was like, "Let's go for coffee someday. And I'm like, okay, great. Because I have nobody else to socialize with besides my dad and his dogs anyway. So the way that it is in rural parts of the world in general, I guess, is if you don't live in the same place, you live really far away from each other. So let's meet in the middle. So there's a little coffee shop in the middle town between these 2 small towns. And I drive 40 minutes to meet this girl to have a coffee. And she's on her phone the whole time. I couldn't believe it. She did not meet my eye line. She was so excited. She wanted to get coffee with me. We each drove 40 minutes just to have a coffee with each other. This is an hour experience in total anyway. This isn't like a huge commitment of time. Hi, nice to see you. Sorry, I just have, it's just my boyfriend. It's just, I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
why the fuck did I drive all the way to
Yeah.
be with you when
Yeah.
you can't stop texting your boyfriend for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
But here's, a deeper layer of the not only addictive, but hypnotic and hijacking nature of phone behavior. It's that obviously this girl and her boyfriend didn't have a healthy relationship, because if they did, he would say, okay, my partner is now doing something social with a friend. I'm not going to text her or expect her to respond to me because I know that she's doing something.
Yeah.
But he didn't have that level of respect. And because she has a phone, she feels obligated to respond to him because she's locked into that dynamic where obviously it's like some codependent thing, right? But like, this is one way that our relationships with our phones, which put us into shitty trance where we can't pull away from them, are also like not giving us a break from the things we really need a break from.
I think you're onto something new too here. It's not just that the person might be checking their phone while they're talking to you. I'm willing to bet that younger generations, you mentioned does not meet your eye line. I'm willing to bet if you look at, you did a generational study of how much people make eye contact generation by generation, I think you would find that it's constantly reducing, meaning, Generation X down to Generation Z down to millennials, whatever, that there's less and less eye contact. And that's because you get shyer and shyer because you're comfortable staring at your phone, but you're not comfortable looking at somebody else. And that's getting weird. That is weird. And I've noticed that 30 years ago, there were people who were so-called introverts, and they were people that, when you talk to them, they tend to look down, or they looked away. I've been that sometimes too. Just uncomfortable, like looking straight into people's eyes. But now I would say that's a common denominator among young people. A lot of young people have a trouble looking at other people in the eyes. They do. Not baristas and people like that, but it's much more common than it used to be.
Interesting. I don't have personal experience with that, but I can imagine what you're saying sounds like it's a logical continuation of the effects of not looking at people and mostly engaging socially through a screen.
Yeah.
Like kids don't, this is kind of, we're going on a tangent now, but I think about even when I was in middle school, it was like just on the cusp of being the first, generation to have cell phones when we were young. If you had to go through a rite of passage, you had to ask somebody out. Will you be my girlfriend? That meant nothing in the 7th grade. It didn't mean we'd even talk. It meant you'd send a friend over to ask my friend if I wanted to be your girlfriend, and it might last a week. But there was this like summoning of courage. Even if it went through this social channel of I'm going to have my friend write a note to your friend, there was this courage that you had to. And then I remember my first boyfriend, it was literally like one day, like, will you be my girlfriend? And I felt too bad to say no. And I said yes. And then I was like, I don't think I want to be in this relationship anymore. And we're like 12. But we had to look at each other. We had to stand awkwardly near each other and kind of glance at each other. And that was it. If we wanted to communicate more. But I think what's happening with younger people is like, they might have that, but then they go home and they text and they like reveal their whole heart. And they're like, when I saw you today, blah, 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 blah. But we didn't have that. We had to learn to start speaking it.
That's interesting. I would guess it's interesting what you're saying, that younger people probably have this sort of dual tendency where they not only like might interact with you, but then they have this sort of after effect where then they write, that was a good coffee, or I really, like, here's my analysis of our dinner together.
Absolutely. That's what's happening.
That is strange.
That is strange. Imagine it was 150 years ago and you're courting somebody and you go out on a date. And then 2 days later, the postman delivers you a long letter that explains how this person felt about your day. Like, even in epistolary times, we didn't have that. We didn't communicate that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're totally off topic now, and I take responsibility for that. So here we are on the Staying Sane podcast, and we're enumerating the elements and the ways in which cell phone behavior and the way that social media and other internet phenomena are designed by capitalists who want your money and attention to put you into what, Albert, you're calling a low grade trance. So the nature of trance has the potential to be deeply naturally like healing, physically recuperative. As you say, it's the primary recuperative state. That's your terminology. And I like that you've identified that. And also that it's just like nourishing and restful and a place of peace in its highest form, but that the phone is engineering this like bastardized version of trance where you are in a trance state, but you're not getting any of the natural benefits because instead you're being like siphoned sickly into this world of nothing called memes.
Exactly, called memes. Well, I was going to say, like, it's worth pointing out what is the difference between, let's say, a quality or robust trance and the low grade trance. Low grade trance has you triggered to show these sort of trance phenomena. Your eyes are fixated, your breathing might have slowed down, your bottom lip might protrude, which is an indicator of trance. You see that with people on their phones. And your blink rate has slowed down in your eyes, which is why your eyes tend to dry out when you do these things. But what makes it low grade is that there's a missing safety component. In hypnotic trance, we're always telling people they are safe, or we're making people feel safe. And there's a reason for that. It's not just because you want people to feel safe. It's because if they feel safe, they go deeper. And that's the moment where the body probably makes some kind of internal unconscious decision to recuperate. Like literally, you've had a rough day, you need a break, you need a safe place to go and slow down. Now you can recuperate. So if you don't get the real safety, you don't get recuperation. So that's the low grade trance probably has no recuperation or little, as opposed to a good.
I think it's the opposite. I think it's actually draining.
Right. You will feel more tired.
It's not neutral. Yeah, it fucks you up. You're more tired after scrolling mindlessly on your phone for an hour, or even watching YouTube with some degree of, maybe you're not just like some drooling moron, right? I certainly don't mean to like create this sweeping generalization, because I know that I'm in this category of being entranced by.
This is universal. We're not judging because I do it, you do it. We're all experiencing this together. All of us are drooling low-grade morons with dry eyes. It's all of us.
And as practicing hypnotists, we are looking, okay, we are the ones who know best. How do you break the spell? And so let's refocus this conversation towards the breaking of the spell, the breaking of the trance, and the reclamation of our attention, awareness, and inner power.
So that's actually a really good question. When people, sometimes you do hypnosis work and you get people into very deep trances, sometimes they will mention afterwards that they had a hard time, or they felt trancy leaving the session, or that they felt like they were daydreaming afterwards. So the advice I always give, and this would apply to phone trance, is that you can, if you notice that you're in a suggestible state, which you probably are if you've experienced trance, then you say to yourself, wide awake and alert. I'm wide awake and alert. You can also add in goals. So you can say, like, and people do this because they will say to themselves, what the hell am I doing? That's actually hypnosis. What the hell are you doing? Let me now do something that I intended to do. Like get that thing done that I was trying to do. So sorry, the classic line is wide awake and alert.
I like it.
There's another great one too, which is that if you feel, and this is an interesting thing, people have pointed out that Instagram and Facebook in particular are trying to breed envy, because their own internal research has shown that when people, especially I think it affects women probably more than men, when women are on Instagram and they're looking at people that they feel might dress better than them or look better or whatever, that effect of making you envious of other people drives consumption. That person will go out later that day and feel like they need to buy things to keep up. This is all happening unconsciously. You don't look at somebody on Instagram who looks good and say, I'm going to go shopping right now, but it happens to you in a sneaky way. And so that's where you can say things like, and this is a classic example. So in hypnosis, when you're trained to do inductions on each other when you're training, there's a classic line which people often use. Sorry, somebody's trying to hypnotize you and you don't want to be hypnotized. You say, cancel that suggestion. That's the line. Cancel that suggestion. So
Interesting.
you can say that feeling that you're having, that person is having a great life while you're not, you can say, cancel that suggestion because that's not real for me.
I love that. Sure, even just people giving their shitty, dumb opinions. You're watching Instagram and somebody's now like saying you want to consciously, I don't say cancel that suggestion. I say free and clear.
Oh,
and sometimes I do free and clear with my own thoughts. Like some like unhelpful thought will come into my mind and I'll notice it and I'll be like, free and clear, free and clear. And I like this gesture too. It's like,
I like that.
Free and clear.
Can you explain free and clear? Why that language, free and clear?
It's the disappearance of something. It's getting rid of it.
Free from that nonsense and clear of the suggestion, which I'm not.
And clear it away, clear it out, get it out of my space. That's not, free and clear. I'm free of that. I like cancel that suggestion. I also recommend to our listeners, you don't have to be a professional hypnotist to snap your fingers. No. So if you notice, you're like, oh, fuck, I've been staring at my phone for how long? And I'm watching like this horrible, if you're watching something about politics, it's propaganda. How do you know if what you're watching is propaganda or real honest journalism? Here's a tip. It's always propaganda. So you recognize like, but we need to watch the propaganda to try to then reverse engineer and figure out what's the truth around this. Like, I want to know something about what's going on, but nobody's telling it to me straight, but I got to know something anyway. So you're like in that, if you're like me and like yourself, I know it's like, okay, fuck, I'm in that, but like, I'm in that. And free and clear. It's like, okay, I got what I needed from it. I don't need to carry the effect of that around with me now. I just need to know what did I get.
I love this idea of free and clear, also a way of coming back to yourself, so to speak. You know, I'm not letting myself be polluted by other people's nonsense, and I'm free and clear. And then I can go on to the next thing. It's a really beautiful, it's a big epiphany for me because I use cancel that suggestion, but it's a little more like when you know that there's a hypnotic suggestion being given directly to you. But free and clear is more like in the mess of the nonsense of social media. So for people that are just joining us, this is Staying Sane, the podcast. We're talking about how your phone is hypnotizing you, which is not just your phone, but social media and internet in general, and that there really is hypnotic effects. And some of these things are built into the system. It's not that there's some conniving Machiavellian person behind the curtain always, but sometimes it is just the flickering.
I actually disagree. I think there's always a conniving Zuckerberg behind the curtain. And it's not some things have been designed and engineered, all of them. And down to the finest pixel in the logo. There's a lot of money paying the smartest people in these fields of what exact shade of purple will make people purchase 0.5% more. We want to make sure we get that shade of purple. The button needs to be in the upper right-hand corner, not the lower left. It should have a rounded corner and not be square because there's been all of this consumer behavior analysis showing we want people to stay on these platforms longer and longer. In fact, there is no such thing as too much. If this child loses their entire childhood where they could be riding bikes in the street, swimming, going on hikes, learning how to do calligraphy, having a childhood, fuck that kid's childhood. I'm Mark Zuckerberg, and I want your kid just looking at their screen and feeling bad about their life in comparison the whole time until they're in the grave. That's what these people want from you and your kids and your family and your loved ones. They don't want you to have a happy, healthy life. They want you just on this. And we're giving it to them because what they're doing is so scientifically powerful.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm saying is that they're not always plotting, but yeah, I agree with you that it is done deliberately, and that reminds me of something that we mentioned before. It's something that I am really, really like. This is my issue of the day. Facebook has started doing something incredibly irritating. So Facebook sends you enormous numbers of notifications, as you know.
We are now segueing into the aspect of this show called petty things that drive us crazy.
That's right. Petty things that drive us crazy. This really drives me completely nuts. Last week or two, I think it's a new feature. And I am personally going to try to hunt down the person who developed this feature and see if I can get them fired, because they are like evil incarnate. So the feature is that Facebook will now tell you, because somehow you need to know, that one of your friends has commented on another friend's post. So that's the notification. Notification. Your friend Bob has commented on somebody else's post. It doesn't tell you what the comment was. It doesn't tell you why it's important to you. It's just that they've commented. I'm very happy that my friends are commenting on each other's posts, but I do not need this information. This is literally pollution. It is such useless information that is polluting people's brains. And whoever did this, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, whoever did this, they should not, they are not.
You will rue the day.
Yeah, rue the day. And by the way, hypnotic curse. I often tell people, hypnotists, we know how to curse people. But yeah, hypnotic curse on that.
Yeah,
person.
be careful. Watch yourself. What you're entering is opening up for me a distinction between the hypnotic phenomena of social media and phone behavior and the addictive phenomena, which is distinct, because the notifications are an addiction mechanism that then loop into the trance state.
Right. Maybe
so I'm on my phone and I open up my phone and there's a little red circle next to the Facebook Messenger app.
Oh, notifications.
And even though my conscious mind is like, I don't care. I know it's going to be some garbage. It's going to be pollution. It's going to be a notification about somebody did something. I don't care. I know that I don't care. But I want to make that red dot disappear. I need to make that red dot disappear. I need to see that it's free and clear. And that is an addiction. It's my addiction to, they know that if that it's that all about that red circle. So the person who's going to rue the day that they exploited, it's just so poorly done. It's so obviously and transparently manipulative. And I think that's why it's so irritating, because they know people can't stand the red dot. They need to click it and see the notification to clear the red dot. And we're going to just keep putting red dots to make people open the app. They know that. And then what you're describing is they just said, let's just shit all over any semblance of being respectful to our users. And we're now throwing red dots all over your life for no reason at all. We're just bombarding you with red dots, notification.
It's mission creep in the sense that maybe their original mission was to let you know what your friends are doing. And that would be like, what are the important things my friends are doing that I might be concerned with? Now they're basically sending you a notification. One of your friends did something.
For anything at all. But what's interesting, even beneath this level of the conversation, is that initially their mission, so to speak, was to, let's say, deliver to me as the customer or the client, right? So I'm really the user. I'm the product. Their customer, the ones who pay them, are not the free users, us. It's the advertisers. So I'm their product, but they're living initially. They're creating this experience where I'm being catered to. So I'm thinking there's something that's important to me here on Facebook. So if I create a post where I give my opinion about whatever, or share something about my life, or share a photo or a video or whatever, I'm sharing something. Now, if I get a notification and it's like, Albert Nuremberg commented on your photo, this is something that I, as the user, want to be notified about, because I do care if Albert commented on my photo. I want to know what he said.
That's fair.
And theoretically, now what's happened is this exploitation where they're abusing the notification system to just make you have to open the app over and over and over again. But where I'm going deeper is, why do I care if Albert even comments on the photo that I post? Why do I care about making this post in the first place? This whole, supposedly I care about, should I care about that? That deserves to be questioned philosophically. Does it really matter? If
I
I
know.
post a picture of my vacation on Facebook for my friends to see and some of them like it, should that matter to me?
Well, I know what you mean, and this is actually, I think there's some malaise around this, which is that when these things were new, it was exciting that you would post a picture from your vacation and you would get 100 likes, and you're like, it would signal, oh, you are personally approved of, or you have some level of popularity, and these trigger basic needs that human beings want. That kind of makes sense. But now that it what I'm noticing is that now it doesn't mean anything, because you start to realize after a while, I'm not sure if people liking my vacation photos means anything to me anymore. There's a malaise around it that's
There
intriguing.
should be, because it actually doesn't matter. What really matters is what's happening in those photos. Am I with people that are bringing me happiness? Do I feel genuine connection? Like the point of taking pictures was I'm capturing a moment that is important because I'm so
Yeah,
happy and I'm experiencing something
yeah,
worthwhile and I'm with my loved ones.
yeah. And
And
your
so
friends are approving of it, or are appreciative of what you're experiencing, and they're liking.
sure, or they genuinely care. Like I think the
Yeah,
only people who are doing Facebook right in a healthy, sane way are like grandmas who are like, I just like putting photos of my grandkids up, and my friends like to see my kids, getting older. Oh, Billy's getting so tall, right? Like that's the most wholesome, authentic use for Facebook, is like genuinely sharing to a small circle of people who genuinely do care how you're doing. Like, oh, I want to see how's your relationship? How's the kids? Oh, things are going well for my friend. I like that. If it's anything other than that, it's fucked up.
well, to be fair, people do use Facebook for a lot of things. Some are social opinions, some are, but I think some are the new project they're working on. Some of that can be quite exciting.
Well,
I
sure, sharing projects with like your colleagues or your
Yeah,
field, but LinkedIn is more the space for that.
yeah. Well, we didn't talk about LinkedIn. How is LinkedIn hypnotizing you?
I think LinkedIn is much more
Corporate.
mild.
Yeah.
I don't feel it's nearly as insidious. I feel like it's
Wait,
still
but
like a good product.
but they all do this interesting thing, and TikTok does this too. They send you notifications to tell you that people are looking at your profile.
Right.
TikTok does this, and I'm like, why do I care if people look at my profile? I don't care. And but it's insidious, because it seems like basically it's saying you are being judged, or somebody wants to know about you, and that is something that you're supposed to pay attention to. We evolved to pay attention to that kind of thing. But again, if I didn't get the notification, I really wouldn't care. This is the other thing that social media is doing, and this is not hypnosis, but it's making you care about things that you really didn't care about before. Like, again, my friend commenting on each other's posts, whether somebody looked at my profile. I actually don't care about that. But getting that message every week, I'm sort of thinking, maybe I should care about that. It's kind of weird.
And this is where we're losing more and more of our minds. So when we talk on the Staying Sane podcast about being in a crazy world or in an insane society, what does it mean to lose your mind? Like really think about that. I'm losing my control of my mental faculties and I'm giving
Yes.
them to
Yes.
what? To
To
a
what?
to
To what?
what? To
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg, who I think has my best interest at heart. Like, he clearly does not.
Yeah. That is
To an
good.
algorithm, like what am I giving my power of attention, awareness, what matters to me? Those are called my values. What matters to you is a way of saying, what are your values?
What's really critical about these companies is that there's some question about their accountability. There was a great documentary which pointed a lot of this stuff out. It's probably 3 years ago now, which really showed that there's literally like social media is manipulating you in all these ways that are quite dramatic. They're always trying to keep you stuck to it. They're always manipulating your attention. And I remember thinking, wow, this is scathing, and that this will probably lead to changes in the industry. No, they just took it as advice, like meaning Like the documentary was saying, look, this is how social media is manipulating you in a terrible way. And then the social media people looked at it and go, oh, thanks. We'll try
double
to.
down on that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, damn it, man. I mean, even what we're doing here has the potential to be used for evil, but whatever, we're doing what we're doing. I would say one final tip as we near the end of this episode about how your phone has been keeping you trapped in a trance state. All of us, not you, also me and Albert, and you and your mom and your kids, and every person with a phone is trapped, being entranced, because it's just so well designed to entrance you. So how do we break the spell? Well, you can snap your fingers, you can snap yourself out of it literally when you notice, whoa, I'm losing time. Get out of it. Do something dramatic. Put the phone down, step up, walk to another part of your house. Make yourself free and clear. Literally shake it off. Be aware.
Free and clear.
Free and clear, free and clear. Or as you say, cancel that suggestion. If you've noticed I was tranced out and I was watching something kind of fucked up. I find myself, I'm tranced out, and what I'm watching is like, the world is ending and evil is everywhere. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, don't be afraid to overly dramatize, like throwing your phone down, being like, no, 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 get up, shake it off, walk around, go outside, breathe in fresh air, like wake yourself up in a pretty clear way. Okay, I'm waking up out of that trance and I'm rejecting whatever unhelpful things may have entered.
I would add to that, act on your conclusions. So let me explain what I mean by that, which is that, for example, there's a big problem with people looking at their phones when they wake up. Everybody knows that's bad. Everybody knows it's bad, like first thing in the morning, like looking at Instagram or whatever. But a lot of people do it because why? Because your phone had an alarm in it. So you had to pick your phone up to turn off the alarm. When you got your phone in your hand, you might as well check, oh, there's some notifications, those little red dots. I might as well check the notifications. And then, oh, now I'm looking at Instagram or I'm looking at Facebook or whatever it is. You're in your phone and now you're scrolling and you've just woken up. You know, from experience, that is
you're
not
already in a trance when you're first waking up.
That's right. You're in the morning trance. But you know from experience that this is bad. This is not good. You're not really getting any information you need. You're not, maybe you want to look at Instagram later. But the point is, so learn from your own experience. And this is what things that people don't do with addictive behavior. They'll go, oh, that was pretty useless to look at Instagram first thing in the morning. Then they'll do it again the next day. No, don't do it again the next day. Decide that you've made a rule. Don't look at Instagram until you've had breakfast or whatever it is, but make a rule to protect yourself from your own bad patterns,
and reinforce your ability to fulfill your own rules by engaging the external world. So as I was saying earlier with like the Pomodoro method, one of the reasons it's so beneficial is because I've externalized when do I get to change tasks. So I'm being focused for 25 minutes and I know that an external source is going to go bing, bing, bing. Now you can check your phone, get up, walk around, make your cup of tea, whatever it is that you want to do, you're allowed to be released from your focus time. And when you say, well, you know that it's stupid to check your phone first thing in the morning, you're wasting a really valuable, the first moments of your consciousness coming into the world each and every day, and the last moments as your consciousness winds down from each and every day, those are the most valuable times in terms of like psychic energy. That's your gold mine. Right when you wake up, right before you fall asleep, you're in a natural state of hypnosis. Your subconscious is open. You can think thoughts that are super nourishing and allow feelings to come up. Give yourself love, say a prayer, meditate, tap in, rejuvenate, breathe, like set the tone for how you're going to be in the world today. I'm grateful to be in this new day. I'm looking forward to accomplishing my goal. You can use that and become a super person. Or you can give it to Instagram and just whoops. And within 5 minutes now, okay, now you're awake because the blue light came, like you lost it. Everywhere we're being given gold and diamonds and jewels and opportunities to create ourselves as powerful, successful, happy, healthy people. Every day we're receiving opportunities naturally from within, from the design of your body, mind, and spirit. And we're just throwing it away, giving it to nothing.
And you know what's key here, though, is that maybe this is our third point. It's not the thing. We're not saying everything you watch on Instagram is stupid or TikTok is bad. We're
Of course
actually
not.
saying it's actually the quantity and the way that you experience it, which is that if you mindlessly scroll first thing in the morning when you've just woken up, that is bad. Instagram may be full of amazing exercise tips. There might be a great clip from the Staying Sane podcast. There might be a lot of reasons why you want to be on Instagram, but do that with agency, do that with control later in your day at a healthy time, as opposed to this unconscious moment in the morning where Instagram now programs you instead of you programming Instagram.
Or you
And
programming yourself.
yes. And so I get my point is that there is good ways to do. People have to sort of throw up their arms and go,
Well, I'm gonna
can
I'm
do.
gonna actually argue against that. I don't know that it's possible to use Instagram in a healthy way. I think that
Oh,
it's kind of like saying, "Oh, I can just do fentanyl once in a while for fun." It's like,
really? You
no,
think Instagram should be you think it should be banned?
I'm not necessarily having a conversation about like censorship or regulation. I'm saying, do I think it's possible for somebody to go, once in a while, I want to find an exercise tip, and TikTok is useful for that. So I just open the app and I type in like, abs, abs tips. I don't know, whatever somebody would look up. And I just look for 10 minutes at the content that I want and nothing else. And then I close the app and I go and I work out my abs. I don't think so. I don't think it's
Really?
possible to use these apps in
Maybe
this
we
way.
should agree to disagree. I actually find there's lots of useful stuff on both on Instagram and TikTok that I've used. I'm separating these, making this distinction between there is good information, but you're seduced into addiction is the
Right.
problem.
I don't think that the average individual human has the power to not be seduced.
Oh, well then it should all be shut down. If you're saying that, it should all be shut down.
I think there is an alternate universe where, yeah, social media is all shut down and people are forced to return to looking at their neighbors in the eyes and saying, "Hey, Jim, how you doing?" But I'm not necessarily arguing that that needs to happen now. The point that I wanted to conclude when you said in the morning, choose that you're not going to look at your phone right away. There's two things that need to happen. First, you need to invest a small $10 to $15 investment in an old school alarm clock. I have one, not here in Tulum, but in my apartment in Mexico, in Florida. I have old school red light numbers. It's very non-intrusive. It only does one thing. I set it and it goes bang, 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 and I tap. It's old school. Just smash that button. I could snooze. I could turn it off. Old school alarm is such a good investment. That way, your phone is not required to be in your hand. And number two, that external environment support. Your phone needs to not be right next to you. In fact, it shouldn't even be in your bedroom. It should be like hidden in your drawer in your kitchen, like not even on the table in your kitchen, in a drawer. Create your environment so that it's actually requires some intentionality to get to your phone. Not, oh, it's right here. Oh, oops, I'm just picking it up again. Oh, well, look at that. Oh, what do you know? I'm on my phone again. Well, since I'm here, I might as well.
Yeah, well, I think that's an interesting point, but I don't know if you're going to get people signing up for. I like your idea of like get an old time alarm clock, but like as you point out, you don't have one. You maybe have one in Florida, but you don't have one where if you're traveling,
Well,
you're gonna use your phone. There's all these reasons why things will
I just
default
don't
back
set
to
an
your phone.
alarm. I'd wake up whenever I feel like it.
Oh, well, that's good to know. um, but I think, anyways, we can. My point is, before we disagreed, that there are good uses for social media, and part of what I'm recommending is self-management. I think you can manage. I think knowing when you are wasting your time on social media is actually very valuable. Self-awareness is really valuable. Knowing when having limits, like having rules, like don't look at screens very late at night, don't look at them very early in the morning. That's a good rule. You can feel that it feels bad. Act with agency and don't do the thing that feels bad. Then I think that we as consumers of this stuff need to make a bigger fuss. Like, let's fire the guy who added this recent Facebook notification right away. This guy should be run out of town, exposed, and something. So it's like the worst. Whoever thought of that is just the worst. And but there should be an effort made to embarrass and shame the social media companies for doing the things they do. They make enough money, they can do it without addicting and manipulating people. There's really bad outcomes. We know where this goes in the extreme. There are examples of kids, especially gamers, who game until they die. They sit in cafes, and yeah, it's happened to, it
They
happens exceptionally.
literally
Yeah,
die.
they literally die. It's exceptional, but I've also, we didn't even mention this one other factor. All these things, phones and screens and computers do to us is they make us sedentary, and they create this other hypnotic illusion. They create the hypnotic illusion that you are doing something because they are very active and there's lots of light and dynamic activity. You get this feeling that something is happening, there's action. But meanwhile, take a video. This is like the interesting thing. It's always interesting to imagine yourself from a third person perspective. So if you imagine what you did today and imagine somebody watching you, they would see that this is you today. That was your day. You were basically slouched over doing nothing all day. You didn't notice that because you were hypnotized to feel that you had a very active and busy day, but you did not physically, let's say. I know the realities of work, a lot of people have to spend time on a computer, but my point is, it is an illusion created by the computer and these devices that something is happening when often nothing is happening. And so being aware of that is actually really useful, as we pointed out, because then you can go, I'm just not going to do that, or I'm going to put limits on my behavior for health. I've really noticed that whenever I descend into what I would call poor health, it is because I am being sedentary. It really is the new smoking. It is really bad for you to just sit places. And again, it's the devices that make us feel that it is okay.
Because we're not feeling our real bodies, because we're in trance.
Right.
If you were not on your phone, but you were just sitting in a chair like this for an hour, you couldn't last an hour because you'd be so aware of your body, like, this is not comfortable. Let me do you. But the phone keeping you trapped in a trance, you're completely disconnected from your own physiology. And that's why we have this, influx of all of this somatic therapy. Somatic therapy, talking to somebody 50 years ago, was like, of course I feel my body. How could I not feel my body? I'm in my body all the time. We're not in our bodies. We're in this like interspace where it's not IRL, it's digital. It's a land of illusion. It's like we're really living in the matrix. And so
that's right. And we don't know it.
There's all this hypnotic phenomena, as we've covered it so thoroughly. And thank you so much for taking the lead on that wonderful, like, bulleted list. Like, these are the hypnotic phenomena when you're on your phone. And because they're present and you can test for them, just as we as professionals would test to see, is the client I'm working with in the right state of mind for us to now do this therapeutic work? You can test yourself and say, are my eyes fixated? Have I been flickering? Am I drooling? I might be in a trance. Okay, wake up.
Free and clear.
Free and clear.
And by the way, maybe this is a very powerful conclusion, but basically what we're saying, we come to, and I didn't really think of this before, is that when, again, people see that hypnosis as an exotic state, I'm not hypnotized, but when you sit there and you have spent hours scrolling or kind of going into an alternate world, and you feel like something is happening, and then you suddenly look back and go, wait, I have not moved in 3.5 hours. That is hypnosis, but it's bad hypnosis.
Yeah.
It's not a good trance. It's not a healthy recuperative trance. So that's why you want to challenge yourself to change your habits. I think we have different philosophies on how you do that, but I think you just want to challenge yourself to not do unhealthy things. Like, there's a real rule, like an obvious one, maybe to leave with a tip. You might have heard this before, but you should always move after every 2 hours, but probably even less.
I think it's 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes. Speaking of what, we've been on this thing for longer, that of being on computer, yeah, you should move around and do something. So if you've been on a computer for longer than 20 minutes, you should move around and do something and then go back if you need to. But, and that if you don't want to have suffer the ill effects of sedentary behavior. So just because we want to get out and go outside and live,
Yeah.
we want to thank everybody for joining us on the Staying Sane podcast. We've been talking about how your phone is hypnotizing you, but not just your phone, your computer, your social media accounts, also hypnotizing you. That every possible factor, or most of the possible factors that are in hypnotic trance, are happening to you without you knowing it when you use social media, and that having awareness of that is useful. If you want to find this podcast, you can always go back and find it again if you're wondering, well, which are those things? And we had some very clear tips, so 2 clear tips, which is one, if hypnotic suggestion is coming your way and you don't like it, you can say cancel that suggestion. But I love this. I'd say these are the words of the day. You mentioned this sentence, free and clear. It's a way to say, let go of that nonsense. I'm letting go. I am free and
with
clear.
the gesture, just like you did. I like to do this, but you did this. It's like use your body and free and clear and push it away. Get it away.
We're free and clear from the podcast, Staying Sane podcast for today. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you soon.